Leprechaun 3, also known as Leprechaun 3 in Vegas because, well, he goes to Vegas. But originally, supposedly, there was a completely different Leprechaun 3 originally. That would have been a direct sequel to Leprechaun 2, rather than have nothing to do with this. With the same cast returning and all, and to keep the budget down, Warwick David would have basically been treated like Jason in Friday the 13th Part 9, Jason Goes to Hell, where he would just go around possessing people for most of the film. After Leprechaun 2 bombed at the box office, they completely redid the story in 14 days, with a screenwriter who didn't even see the first two films. And this and the rest of the series was released direct to video. So eventually we open up on Las Vegas, the glitz, the glamour, the Pawn Stars. This is Gupta, played by an extra on basically all the DC animated universe, and a pirate sells him a statue of the Leprechaun. But don't touch his medallion, because this is Wishmaster now. And despite the medallion never being a thing before, it's very important for this film. But not that pirate guy. He gets $20 and we'll never see him again, or even find out how he turned a leprechaun to stone. As Gupta looks over a medallion, the statue comes alive and jumps him. He pulls a Mike Tyson and bites off his ear, but that was 2 years early, so he goes for the Machine Gun Kelly tactic of biting his toes. Then he flashes this totally historical Viking medallion he got on Etsy for $30, causing the leprechaun to grab his gold and run to the basement, accidentally dropping a shilling. Meanwhile, this is Scott driving. He's played by the writer of Kong Skull Island and executive producer of Power Rangers 2017. This lady is Tammy. Her Blue Beetle broke down. Scott sees the problem. Someone pawned the engine off. And Tammy needs to get to work, so they hitchhike. Back with Gupta, he literally watches Leprechaun lore on CD-ROM. Turns out that the gold is the source of the Leprechaun's magic, and they love potatoes. But no meat or dairy, it might give them a tummy ache. So Gupta goes to commit lepricide, as the Leprechaun's doing his taxes, realizes he's down a coin, so puts the rest in a safe. The CD continues playing, saying that if you get a coin from the Leprechaun, you get a free wish. So that's 3 wishes if you capture him, and then 1 wish per gold coin. That's pretty broken. And I guess Gupta's a British Raj apologist, because why else would he have a poster of Empress Elizabeth? So now Leprechaun feels that he's justified messing with Gupta, so he Looney Tunes and sticks his finger in his gun and it explodes. Back with the others, Tammy lets Scott sneak into the casino despite being underage. Just don't gamble. Then we meet the magician Fazio, who kind of looks like somewhere between Charlie Sheen and Bruce Bochner. But other than Warwick, he's probably the biggest name in the cast, being played by voice actor John DeMita, with Loretta played by Caroline Williams, who is probably the 3rd biggest name in the cast, a real who's who of horror films, but is most notably Stretch in Texas Chainsaw 2. She wants to be an assistant to Fazio, but he's like, no, you're old, and worse, fat. Tammy's the real assistant, and we're gonna set her on fire. But then the casino owner, Mitch, says, settle down, fuck. But then Scott is suckered into the allure of gambling. It's so glamorous because this is a movie and not very realistic. So he takes his tuition money for college. Holy shit. So that's what it's like to have parents that care. And Mitch really needs that money because Art and Tony in his Hawaiian shirt are hustling him. I don't know if they're like gangsters or whatever, but I do know that Art's going to be in Hellraiser 4 next year, in space. So let's go gambling! And of course Loretta is rigging the games because casinos are scum. So with Fazio being shit at magic and rigging games, Scott loses all of that money. But he gets suggested to pawn off his watch and actually start the plot.
There was an old man of Madras whose balls were made of fine brass. So in stormy weather, they both clanged together and sparks flew out of his ass.
So Gupta and Lep make a deal. Half the gold for hide the medallion. And of course the Leprechaun plays tricks and takes away the medallion with a hook. So he gets out his shillelagh smoking pipe and beats him. But then he upgrades to shillelagh baseball bat. And then he upgrades to strangling him with a phone line. With our first kill only 29 minutes into this horror film, and Scott finally starts a plot as he plays the CD, learns about the leprechaun shit, and he wishes on the coin that he can go back to the casino and be on a winning streak, which works, no strings attached. So Mitch, still needing that money and not going bankrupt, he does the whole casino thing of giving a free room, and you should bet more. Tammy's pissed about the gambling, but Scott says, come on, I got this. I got that gambling monkey on my back, and we're doing this, and I love you. So Lep is set loose onto Vegas.
Vegas, my kind of town.
Then literally dropping leprechaun shit into Fazio's hand. Him and Loretta kind of figure out quick that the coin is his lucky charm. So Fazio sneaks into Scott's room, stealing the coin. Awkward. Even more awkward. So Lep bites Scott's hand, but then Scott just stabs him in the forehead and tosses him out the window. But then getting bit by a leprechaun literally turns Scott into a wereprechaun. There's no way the creators of South Park saw this. No way. Then Mitch takes the coin and wishes for Tammy to love him, and she does. But before Dommy Tammy gets some of that ugly bastard love, that Loretta takes the coin, snapping Tammy back to her senses, and she gets fired. So Lep uses some of his magic to mess with the TV and summon the chick from the ring that literally turns into a sex robot and electrocutes him. How the fuck did they put Fisto in this movie and only use it for this one scene? And even in death, you gotta pay, so Leprechaun takes out them, and Scott is still dealing with becoming a wereprechaun. Caroline Williams wishes to be Caroline Williams, telling Fazio about the coin, and he's like, yoink, and runs off with it, wishing to be the greatest magician in the world. Loretta gets to keep her looks because shut up, but the leprechaun comes to fix her up some more.
Your boobs are big, your butt is small, but still you're in for quite a fall. What didn't you hear? Bigger is good, but jumbo is dear. I'll give you boobs that come out to here.
So the leprechaun gives her the full thick verse treatment. She's a Kardashian, but her body can't be down with the thickness, so she explodes. As Tam and Scott made it back to the pawn shop, the CD-ROM is still going, revealing if you destroy the gold, you destroy the leprechaun. And they also find the medallion. As Scott's condition is worsening, the medallion's working on him, and he also senses the leprechaun's guild. But finders keepers, it's his gold now, bitch. But leprechaun's like, nah, it's my gold, bitch. But they escape from him. I'm not sure if Scott's insurance is gonna cover leprechaun bites, but he's loaded, so America, so they'll do anything to treat him. And hey, look, an actual New Vegas actor.
Let's just start with every test that begins with the letter A. Tomorrow we'll do the B's, and then Thursday
You play golf on Thursday?
Well, this is an emergency.
America. I'm hating it here. So Scott uses his leprechaun powers to free himself, as the other leprechaun is playing around in the morgue and traps Tammy. But before something weird happens, Scott shows up and tells them that Fazili has the coin. I don't know how he knows this, but medallion. And Fazili does that flamethrower trick he wanted to do, as the leprechaun does a trick on him and splices him in half. But Scott wasn't a fan of that trick, so he burns the gold, catching the leprechaun on fire and saving Scott, and they lived happily ever after. Final body count? 8. This movie is a Las Vegas show. It's the leprechaun in Las Vegas running around and doing Vegas jokes. Nothing more, nothing less. While the rest of the acting's bad, the leprechaun werewolf thing is kind of interesting, even though the plot barely exists. It's not trying to be anything more than just a silly, fun film about running around in Vegas. And honestly, that's fine. The film's having fun, and you probably will too, and this is Warwick's favorite of the series. So, 6.5. But let me know your guys' opinions down below, as well as hitting that like button and the subscribe button if you're new.